Okay, this time we are going to answer all the all the items sa ating midterm activity number 2. So, yeah, some of them are very easy, some of them are quite weird. So, let's start with the easier ones. For example, the speed of a nerve impulse in the human body is about 100 meters per second. So, from the word speed, we know that's going to be v. If you accidentally stub your toe in the dark, estimate the time it takes the nerve impulse to travel to your brain, considering your height. So in my case, I am 1.63 meters. Okay, so you can plug in your height kasi muna siya nasa question. Now, what is the time? Estimate the time. I have here the formulas naton, but since this is a very simple question lang man, you can answer this with using the definition of your velocity or speed, which is distance over time or displacement over time. Okay. Para gets natin. So, ang speed, which is scalar, we say that that is distance over time. Meanwhile, if you're going to use velocity, go ahead and say displacement over time. So, either of them is okay. So, since speed ang atong butangan, 100 meters per second equals ang distance nga 1.63 meters over the time. Okay, so with that, this becomes 1.63 meters over 100 meters per second. Cancel si meters, you should get time. And my time is 1.63 divided by 100. Or 0.0163 seconds, or if you prefer, 16.3 milliseconds. Okay, so this is for number 1. Number 2, so an object travels 40 meters in 5 seconds, then 80 meters in 5 seconds. Now, because man kita nga daan sa definition sang velocity mo. So, if you strictly apply the definition of velocity, velocity is d over dt, or the change in displacement over the change in time. Kung strictohon tagid. This will give you, kung you don't know how to process this will give you 80 minus 40 over 5 minus 5. Sa 5 minus 5, palang hadaan na lang alang na kamo. Okay. So, what I did with this problem is gindrawing ko siya. So, ang aton nga object is nag-travel dali 40 meters in 5 seconds. So, muna iyan na cover. And then, 80 meters again in 5 seconds. Looking at this, ang aton nga speed is the total distance covered, which is 40 plus 80 over ang total time na covered, 5 plus 5. So, this should give us 40 plus 80 is 120 over 10 or 12. Ang inisya is meters, and inisya is seconds, so meters per second. If you don't want to use S, kaya na ang danyo V, that's also fine. Okay? But guys, not all the time nga ma-add ka mo ha. May mga situation nga alang-alang na siya. Pero, amo to, para sa naging pakita ko, ang velocity niyo is actually a change in displacement over change in time. But in our case, kung dringon nyo sa, ang change natin in displacement is from 0 hasta sa 120, kaya na-cover niya ni ang bilog ng 40 plus 80. Ang change in time natin is from 0 to 10. Okay? So, gamay nga analysis lang. So far, we've only been using our definitions of values natin sa kinematics. Okay? Now, for number 3 nga, I think damo, gidsang kapamangkot. So, a car travels along a straight line at a constant speed of 60 miles per hour for a distance d, and then another distance d, same direction, pero constant naman ang speed. So, v lang din sulat ko. Start ko na liwat. There you go. So, the average velocity for the entire trip is 30 miles per hour. What is the constant speed at which the car moved during the second distance d? So, v ang ginapangita dire. Okay. Now, the problem is, we cannot really use any of the formulas right now. Sa akon lang opinion. You may find other ways, pero sa akon lang panglantaw, you can say that VI is 16 miles per hour. So yeah, you can say that's VI. And then VF ang ginapangita, sure. However, we have distances here nga hindi man given. So as you can see, kalabanan sa aton dili nga mga problems, kinahanglan niya kita sang kumbaga X and V altogether. So in our case, medyo budlay. Okay. Another thing, we cannot use V average in this case because as you already remember sa nagligad nga video, these four formulas down here only apply to constant acceleration. And initial for sure, this is not constant acceleration. Okay. So, ang imuon na lang is about sa definition na lang sa velocity. So, ang tsura sinisa nga ito ng formula, do pareho sa ginimo sa number 2. Okay. Dumam sa number 2 kaging na. Ari bala oh. So, amunto sa nga nag-drawing ko, ang total nga distansya nila i-divide sa total time nila. Amo na ito ni moon. Galing kay, ang given sa aton velocity kag distance, but silingon, kulang sa aton time. Time, from the formula, sa velocity nga distance over time, kung ilusoon mo lang ni siya, ang time naton nimo nga d over v. Right? In this case, ang v naton sa first naton nga part is 60 miles per hour. Meanwhile, sa ikadwa naman niya nga part, diri nga time natin is simply d over v, unknown si v. So with that, mapareho naman kita sa number 2 mangyot nga problem. Ang aton nga v average nga 30 is equal to ang total naton nga distance nga d plus d, alis lang. Alin diri sugod-sugod, d plus d nga isa pagid. Over ang time naton nga d over 60 plus d over v. So you can say that this is 2d over d over 60 na 9 plus d over d. Okay. And then, sa matabo, ang bilis sa dalom, transpose sa babaw, is now becomes 30 times d over 60 plus d over v is equal to 2d. So, okay lang ay 2d ko ni siya. Okay. And then for now, screenshot guys, kay i-reason ko ni sa. Okay. Reason ko na. Kay, do, medyo, ano naman isa? Transpose naman ngayon mo na. So, you have that. Now, let's distribute 30 inside. This becomes 30d over 60 plus 30d over v equals 2d. 30d over 60 is simply d over 2 plus 30d over v equals 2d. Now, cross multiplication kita. Dire. This becomes 60d plus vd over 2v equals 2d. Transpose 2v may mo ni siya nga 60d plus vd is equal to, okay lang sa inyo guys, 4vd. 4vd. Now, you can see we have two terms here that are both vd, ang ilang mga variables. So, combine like terms, 60d is equal to 4, sige na lang, set ko na lang, 4vd minus vd. 60d is equal to 3vd. Okay? And as you can see, you can divide, hindi ko na yung sa ilaw, dire. So, samtang ginasolve ko ni guys, back up ka mo dapat na yung pen and paper ka mo para ma-follow nyo, ha? Now, 60d is equal to 3vd. Hindi siya, rin kita nag-untat. We can divide both sides by 3d para ang mabilin sa aton v na lang. Diba? So, cancel out si 3d. And then, 6d, maukas mo yung si d. 60 divided by 3 is 20. And unit naton, miles per hour. This is v. So, the answer for letter A, the constant speed at which the car moved during the second distance d, sulat, is actually 20 miles per hour. And for the letter B or part B sang inyong problem, so what if suppose the second distance d were travel in the opposite direction? So ang B naton diri nga part whole sa what is the average velocity for this trip? So, if we're going to apply what we did earlier sa aton nga pag-answer sa letter A, ang aton nga velocity is going to be d plus D, galing kay opposite direction siya gani. So, instead of a positive, you get a negative D. And then, ang time natin will still be D over 60 plus D over V. Okay, so V average ni siya, ha? Okay, now, yeah, sa babaw pa lang nga daan, 0 ka na din. Therefore, for letter D, guys, ang aton diri nga V average is 0 meters per second. No need to do the complicated math. Okay? And finally, for letter C, so what is the average speed for this new trip? Also, there's no need to solve this because ang aton diri nga given, ang average velocity, average speed, so speed natin nga average is 30 miles per hour. So, no need to do mathematics in this case because when you talk about speed, wala siya labot sa imong direction. So, yeah, since pareho naman ang distansya nila, nag-iso lang siya, as is lang siya po nang given natin 30 miles per hour lang na po. Okay? So, yeah, that's number 3. Simple lang siya, may gamay lang ang analysis. Ayan, maybe you're asking, Miss, nga wala gini na to nagamit si V average is equal to VI plus VF over 2. So, as mentioned before, sa isa ka video naton, these 4 formulas are for constant acceleration. And in this situation, I don't think may constant acceleration diri nga natabo. Because for the whole span of the first part sa aton nga problem, it's 60. So, you can see wala sang vary diri nga velocity intervals, wala. As in, steady siya nga 60. So, in this case, ang first nga part, constant velocity siya. So, acceleration niya is 0. And then, it just suddenly changed into the next part. So, the formula V average is equal to VI plus VF over 2 does not apply. Okay? So, yeah. Pang sure ball. Sunod, number 4. A particle moves along the x-axis according to the equation x is equal to, i-rewrite ko lang, 2 plus 3t plus t squared na lang. Imbes ng islat ko pa si 1. Oh, negative. Sige. Negative t squared. X is meters and t is in seconds. At t 3 seconds, find A, position. So, x na siya. And B, yung velocity. And C, acceleration. What we call this equation is parametric. So, tawag sina parametric equation. Kaya mayara kita parameter. Ang parameter natin is time so that we are able to get our x or displacement or position or distance. Depende sa inyo gusto. Calculus is used in physics if you want to look for the instantaneous values. So, instantaneous acceleration, velocity, or position. Kay, you have to be honest, guys, sa isa ka motor or isa ka bus or isa ka car, nag-accelerate steadily, lain ang iya nga speed at let's say, 1 second, sa speed niya after 3 seconds, lain man iya nga position, lain man na possibly ang iya nga acceleration, kis-a siya. So yeah, when we're going to use calculus, we are looking for instantaneous values this time. Kag malipay ka mo if you find this because ma-derive lang ka mo sina, no need to consider this again. So as you can see so far, we haven't considered any of the formulas. Now, for letter A, what is the position of the particle at time equals 3 seconds? Hapos lang, is-substitute nyo lang din. So 2 plus 3 times 3 minus 3 squared. 2 plus 9 minus 9. So, therefore, 2 meters ang ating answer for letter A. Derive your parametric equation for displacement once and you will get velocity. So, velocity is derivative sa position. Derivative is 3 minus 2t. And then, substitute. So, 3 minus 2 times 3 is equal to 3 minus 6 is equal to negative 3 meters per second. So, as you can see, may possibility nga ang aton sini nga particle is moving backward kay negative na ang aton nga velocity. And finally, for your acceleration, i-derive mo lang ang equation ni velocity. So, ang iya sina nga derivatives ng 3 minus 2t is negative 2. Okay? And since there's no need to substitute, this is good already. Meter squared. So, tsakto man gid nga medyo gapaisol siya. Kay, kung tawon nyo, atong acceleration is negative. So, ginapauntat na ni siya amat-amat ang atong particle. So, yeah, that's the trick. Just derive. Okay, natawon ta ha. So, ang atong nga x as is. Ang atong nga velocity, i-derive mo si x. Si acceleration, i-derive mo si velocity. This one, substitute mo lang si t. Okay? Now, number 5. So, the minimum distance required to stop a car moving at 35 miles per hour is 40 feet. So, ang akon sina nga VI is 35 miles per hour. So, ginapastop mo siya, no? So, eventually, ang sina nga VF is going to be 0 miles per hour. Kag ang makover niya sina nga distance is 40 feet. So, what is the minimum stopping distance for the same car nga 70 miles per hour? So, ipastop mo siya Japon. So, VF niya 0 lang Japon. Pamangkot, ano ang iya nga stopping distance kung pareho sila rate of acceleration. So, pareho ang ilang nga A. Kung naman na, count na yung ilang nga A. So, siya na yung kailanganan ko ng mga values. So, hindi na. Now, choose your fighter. Charot. This first formula, nope, not really. Wala kita sang T, kag wala makita sang A. This one, we also need a T that we don't have the same here. Hindi pwede. So, we average, not really. Kay mera, kita sa i-consider dapat nga x value. So, we are going to use this one instead. VF squared is equal to VI squared plus 2A XF minus XI. Okay. So, ang VF naton is 0 na daan kay mas stop kita. So, 0 squared equals VI naton is 35 miles per hour squared plus 2A. Now, XF minus XI. So, if we're going to plot this, ang aton sini nga car started from a certain distance. So, gagiyo na siya nga daan mo. Wala ta kabalo sina ko na nuya XI. Dason mo untat siya somewhere nga hindi man ta sure. Hindi na siya. Pero ang nabalaan ta lang, ang bilog sini nga coverage is 40 feet. And this whole coverage, we've covered something like this before. This is delta x, and delta x is xf minus xi, diba? So, ang ibutang tadi is 40 feet. Yay! But, dapat, palariyo tanan yung units. So, feet ka mo de, doon diri miles. I think, I'd rather convert feet to miles than convert this one into feet. Kay, may square nga daan. Malaba-laba ang storyahan eh. How do we convert? Ang nabalaan ko lang is 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Yeah? Yep. So, yeah. So, we are going to solve this time. Panghukson ko na nito nga units So, 35 squared. Yep. But, transpose ko di siya sa piyak. So, negative 35 squared. And then, para si A lang mabilin sa dili nga side sa equation, okay, may laba-laba ko nga divide. So, i-divide ko si 2, si 40, pareho, kag si 1 over 5,280. Sorry naman siya. Alright lang. Okay. So, with that, you can plug that into your calculator. So, 35 squared over 2 times 40 times 1 over 5,280. Okay. Our acceleration is 80,850 miles per hour. So, take note of this. Yep, because we are going to use this A para makuha ta ni si X diri sa babaw. Same Japon na nga formula atong gamiton, ining si BF squared equals BI squared plus 2A times change in X. So, naka-screenshot na kamo, erasean ko na niya. Erase. Oh, no, 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 no. Erase, erase, erase. Erase. Okay. Okay, like I said, same Japan na formula. So, ang VF natin, because we're going to stop anyways, 0 na siya. VI, 70 miles per hour squared plus 2. Ang A natin is now 80,850 miles per hour squared. May squared hindi gali times. Data x na sulat ko abot na siya nga xf minus xi na siya. Okay. So, edison ko ni. Now, transpose, so you get negative 70 squared. Oops. Negative 70 squared all over 2 times 80,850. And this is equal to delta x. Okay. So, with that, that is 70 squared over 2 times 80,850. Okay. So, ang ato nga delta x is 0.03 miles. Okay. Kay miles ang ato nga unit subong. Okay. If you want to understand this in terms of feet, kay tungod feet man diri ang given, ibalik ta siya. So, 0.03 miles times, we were told nga 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Cancel si miles. So, times 5 to 80. Yay! Whole number! 160 feet. Kay kalaway sa may decimal. So, yay! The answer for number 5 is 160 feet. Ang kilanglanon naton nga stopping distance kung ang aton nga car is traveling at 70 miles per hour.